Alright, time for a little road trip. So what you will be seeing on this little trip is none other than going from northern to southern to eventually northern California. From NorCal to SoCal, needless to say. So our first stop at SoCal is gonna be a little bit of a shift within gears, let's just say that. And here it is, the Peterson Museum, home to many, many, many different vehicles from the 1920s and beyond, but needless to say that this is pretty much what I got on camera. Yes, the Fast and Furious exhibit. That is one of the major highlights from this trip. This was clearly a fun blast, just to see the fact that we had Paul Walker, his legacy, and, Vin Diesel's legacy, everyone's legacy all together here. It was incredible. Not only that of the Fast and Furious saga, but we also got to see the Back to the Future trilogy with the hero car, aka the mainly used DeLorean. On the topic of Fast and Furious and Back to the Future, here we are at Universal Studios with the upcoming Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. The Coral Square, so yeah. And the next visit was none other than to the stars with the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Now, I will admit, it was pretty good for what it was. It was heavily packed and there was no subtle moments within the movie. It felt a little bit rushed. It felt a little bit too ambitious. But overall, it was a fun, wild ride. Don't you just love the beach? Yes, that's absolutely right. We are on the coast of SoCal. Now that we're done with a little bit of the coasts of the waters of the sea and everything, let's move on to something else. This place looks familiar. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the Sugar Mints Gallery, where we have the Pink Palace, or shall I say it, Beware of the Pink Palace exhibit. To fan art of Coraline. The event lasts from last month and will end sometime during early to mid-May, so I highly suggest you get a move on by now. If you want my personal thoughts, I think it's a great exhibit in that overall they need to have more stuff like this, and the fact that it's only ran by just a literal family is actually insane. The fact that they're able to pull it off, even though it's a small house, I still do think it is a nice art gallery museum. So, obviously, of course, this is based off of the Leica film Coraline. If you haven't seen it, I wouldn't blame you for not being to see the movie first. Before going to this art gallery, this pretty much gives you some form of explanation, but I mean, overall, this experience was great. It was very immersive. You could tell the attention to detail to every room was nice. And not only that, but Sugarman Gallery in general is not only just for a stop-motion film like this. No. They have Halloween as one of them, and there's, upcoming ones also. There's going to be Over the Garden Wall from, it's a Cartoon Network IP, and so they're going to make fan art for that. But I mean, other than that, it's really great to see the fact that there is an art gallery museum dedicated to films like those, ones that involve horror. On the same day, we also did go to this retro video game store called Rat Nest Games. I personally enjoy the place. I think it's a nice, cozy ambiance to feel as if you're a kid again, and you have that feeling of a child at a candy store with the amount of video games that they have. They range from original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, OG Xbox, some of them, Xbox One, PS4, PS3, etc., etc., etc. Not only that, but they do have a little bit of arcade stations. Like, for example, they have one at Tekken Tech Tournament, in which I'm like, oh my goodness, wow. They are preserving a lot of legacy here. They also have a restroom, and needless to say that, yeah, that's for your own concerns. But there's a lot of nice photos in there, as weird as that sounds. So after a long visit, which didn't feel too long, we were on our way home. And we stopped by a few landmark locations like San Francisco Bridge, a few shores along the way. There was a lot that we did during the spring break, and I'm honestly glad that I was able to have these nice, calm moments with occasional fun, A lot of the footage at the very end of the video is most likely going to be just a lot of photos that were taken that I didn't really record at all. Just because of the fact that I didn't really want to put the time and effort towards that, and also there was a lot of places that I've been to before, so it just kind of made sense to have it in photo mode. It was cool to see a lot of these, and it's just like, I'm glad that I got double photos, and I got, a bunch of souvenirs that I recently have gone to see. It's nice. It's nice to see the fact that, you get to travel on a different part that, you don't usually typically get to stay at for a long time. And so that's the fun of vacations, We don't have stops along the way. And, it was just fun seeing a lot of destinations, and overall it was pretty fun. And oh man, I was a bit tiring, I'm not gonna lie. I was really tiring, but it was worth the trip. So yeah, it was just great. I have no other words.
Super Mario Galaxy!